My friends, how are you? It is absolutely fantastic to see you for yet another video, but unfortunately, what seems to be the theme with my videos lately, I do not come to you with good news today. I come to you with more information in the transportation industry in America that sort of helps paint the picture more about the coming economic collapse under Donald Trump's failed policies with all of the illegal trade wars that he started. So I got to start at the beginning with this because yesterday, you guys, well, let me start a little further back. You guys know how I've been pointing out all the weird irregularities going on in the trucking industry, just observations that I've made as a very long time trucker, and I started to notice things were weird. Things weren't moving the way they normally do in a, half-assed decent economy. And after I made those observations, a couple months go by, and then we start to see the numbers coming out that go along with all the things that I've been saying. Job losses in transportation, freight rates just not really doing anything impressive at all. The government frantically trying to get anybody that's a little bit too brown in this country fired from their trucking job, trying to eliminate 200,000 non-domiciled CDLs from the market, trying to remove anybody that isn't considered to be fluent or proficient in the English language in an attempt to cover up the fact that they are crashing the fucking trucking market. We start to see that this is all really going bad. So what we run into a lot, my friends, is a bunch of MAGA dorks that can't be fucked to look into any kind of information. They read a headline somewhere and the first thing they think of is me, which I appreciate. Thank you so much for thinking of me. And they go, I finally got him. I'm going to own this lib. And the worst part right now, that's one of the funniest, most amusing parts, but really tragic for them, is every time one of these MAGA dorks tries to own a lib, they end up owning themselves in the fucking process. Ask the bankrupt farmers that have thoroughly owned the libs. Ask these 600 truck drivers that just got fired last week from their job that have thoroughly owned the libs. Ask them if this is starting to fucking backfire a little bit. So I'm over here minding my business when MAGA dork shows up and he says, hey, I have proof that everything you said is a lie and the trucking market is thriving under Donald Trump. He didn't use the word thriving because he wasn't real good at words, my friends, but he was doing his best, and for that I give him credit. And he said the JB Hunt stock went up by 18% just today. Now I'll give a little bit of a quick history lesson here, just a quick one. JB Hunt is a massive transportation company. They're more than just trucking. They're trucking, they're brokerages, they do intermodal. For anybody that doesn't know, those are the containers that come in by ship. Those are the containers that you see riding on the rails all over the country. They are just absolutely massive. And I have a lot of commenters that say that they respect what I do and understand my lifestyle because their dad was also a trucker, so they really admire what it is I do. And the reason I bring that up is because JB Hunt has been around for fucking ever, for a long time. So if your dad was a truck driver, there is a good chance he had some dealings with JB Hunt fucking however many years ago. They've been around forever. They are absolutely fucking massive. And so the guy told me about this 18% increase in the stock, and I gotta level with you guys. I am kind of getting sick to death of hearing from MAGA about the fucking stock market. There's a lot to that, which could be an entire video, but from what I understand of it from people smarter than me, is a lot of it is speculation right now having to do with AI. And people are pumping a ton of money into this AI bubble that eventually probably looks like it's going to burst, according to the people smarter than me that know more about this than I do. One, China's kicking the living shit out of us when it comes to AI, and I think that a lot of these AI companies are following the Elon Musk model of overpromise, underdeliver, and hope for the fucking best, right? I think that whole thing's gonna pop, but that seems to be what's holding up the stock market in America right now and causing these all-time highs to continue. Because here in the real world, things are really fucking bad for working class Americans. And I gotta be honest with you, I am getting sick of these slack-jawed cousin fuckers running around talking to us about the goddamn stock market. Settle down, Cletus. We're talking about the real world, the average everyday working class American that gets up at the fucking crack of dawn to get their ass to work so they can live paycheck to paycheck and just barely get by. I want to focus on the fucking real world. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but I just ridiculed him kind of a little bit. Like, imagine thinking that the stock market is like the real world, thinking that it has anything to do with the jobs that Americans have, thinking that it has anything to do with actual reality. Because what I understand of all of it is publicly traded companies are like legally obligated to do the best they can for their shareholders, which as we go through this video, we're going to find out is exactly what happened. So I kind of just made fun of the guy a little bit and went on with my day. And then another commenter said something that made this situation click in my fucking brain. And I went, oh, fuck, this is actually a really bad thing, because that other commenter said something like JB Hunt stock went up a lot today, having to do with their restructuring and shit like that. It was the word restructuring that caused me to go, oh, this isn't the good news that old Cletus thought it was. This is actually going to be really bad. So I start digging into this company, JB Hunt, to figure out exactly what is going on. And it is 100% true that yesterday their stock had a massive fucking gain. I mean, they went up. It was like 18% in a day. And it had to do with, I guess, their earnings reports and shit like that. So I start looking into it. And what I find is that JB Hunt went up so much yesterday, basically because they didn't lose as much money as they were expected to lose. Whoa, Nelly, I need to hold my horses right there, because that was a screw up on my part. That is not what I meant to say. I just said that they lost money or something to that effect. Here's what I meant to say. JB Hunt's stock rose yesterday because they were able to generate more profit to the company than was projected, and that caused a massive rise in their stock price. And I wanted to make sure I cleared that up before I put out false information and then had to come back and explain it later in a video. But what I'm going to explain to you next is why JB Hunt making more profit than they were projected to make was not only not beneficial to the working class in America, but how it ended up being harmful to truck drivers and many other workers, including dispatchers, brokers, mechanics, you name it, in this situation. So thank you for letting me clear that up. And the way they did that, my friends, was on the backs of the American people, the working class. Because when a company is struggling, it is always us, the working class, that pays the cost for that. It is never the CEO. They never pass up on their $20 million bonus, now do they? No, they collect that shit. It is never the shareholders. They will do anything, like I said, legally, apparently they have to try to protect that share cost, to make money for the shareholders. So when it comes to a company having to save money and having to reduce cost, it always falls on the working class in America. And as I was looking at JB Hunt, that is exactly what fucking happened yesterday. See, JB Hunt has been going through this massive restructuring plan, because while it is true, now I've always said this, it is true that the trucking industry has been struggling for a lot of years. It honestly doesn't even make sense as a job anymore. If people were to ask me, hey, should I get my CDL and become a truck driver? Yeah, if you want to give up your entire life for like bullshit pay, it's fantastic. It's a fucking fantastic job, because it is to the point where it doesn't make sense to live on the road anymore and do this job. The wages don't fucking make sense even a little bit. But it is true that trucking has been struggling for a lot of fucking years. A lot of people trace it back to the deregulation, the Motor Carrier Act of 1980, where basically they broke down the walls between competition between other trucking companies. That's the easiest way to put it. And what happened was it was a race to the bottom at that point. It was the trucking company that wanted to haul shit for the cheapest was the one that got the contracts. And it's just cutthroat. That's all it's ever been since that happened. Now, that I understand. But what I watched when Donald Trump was in office last time, when he completely mismanaged COVID, he sent the whole economy, obviously, into a fucking tailspin. And as far as the trucking industry goes, it has never recovered through when Donald Trump fucked it the first time, all the way through Joe Biden's administration and up until this date. But what is happening now is Donald Trump, with his illegal trade wars that he's starting with every goddamn country, and his constant threats to put 100% tariffs on China and all this bullshit has basically been the dagger in the heart of fucking trucking. And Donald Trump, even if he pulled off of the tariffs right now, just said, hey, I'm done with all the tariffs, it doesn't matter because he has fucked up the global supply chain and he has fucked up our relationships with other countries, where you've got Canada possibly working out deals with China for EVs and canola oil and all this stuff, where Canada used to be sort of in lockstep with America as far as tariffs on Chinese-made EVs so we could support each other's industries. There is actual conversation going on now with China and Canada about working out some fucking deals, and I'm excited to see how the fuck that's going. But the point is, Donald Trump has collapsed trucking, and he has been doing it for a long fucking time, and his trade wars have been completely fucking destructive. So I start looking into JB Hunt, and basically the good news with JB Hunt is they didn't lose as much money as they were expected to lose, and that's why the stocks did so well. And they have been losing money so much that they are trying to restructure their company. And we have to think about what restructuring means to try to get to the bottom of this and why this isn't good news. So I straight up asked Google, what has been JB Hunt's restructuring plan, and how is it that it's helping them to avoid, you know, losing all their money, and how is it keeping their stock prices up, and all these different things, till I came to the logical conclusions that we all should be at right now at this point. They have done it through workforce reduction. They plan to, I think it's planned to let go of another 5%, and they are down currently 12% of their workforce since their peak. So yesterday, when JB Hunt's stock went up 18% and MAGA took a fucking victory lap on shit they didn't understand, once again, it was because real working Americans were losing their jobs. That's what was happening. And another interesting thing about it is they have been able to save money because they have been building their company in a way that they will rely on AI more and more and more. And I tried to think about that just a little bit. How would a shipping company use AI? And there's probably a lot of ways to do it, but a thing that I've heard about, and I don't know if JB Hunt is a guilty party in this or not, I don't know enough about the inner workings of their business, but a thing I've heard about is a lot of companies' load boards are automated at this point. So they'll put the load up on the load board. It used to be, my friends, you would call that broker or even send them an email, and they would have a rate posted for it, and you wanted more money, right? Let's say the rate was $1,500 to move this load. You would call them and say, hey, I got a truck here, we're ready, we're empty, we're ready, let me get that load, give me $2,000 for that load, and I'll take that load for you right now. And the broker always had a little bit of extra money they could work with, so they might come back and say, I'll give you a $1,600. So they like $100 increase on the load. That's a little low still, you know. Can you go 19? Look, $1,700. You take that load. That's the best I can do. And apparently that's a thing that's going away in trucking now. Basically, you don't get to negotiate anymore. You get to accept that load or fucking kick rocks. That's your fucking choices, right? Or you could pretends to negotiate with you. I've heard of this too, where the load board pretends to negotiate with you. You see that same load, $1,500. You offer it $2,000, and the AI comes back and says, I can give you $1,505 if you would like that. And what they're doing is they're squeezing every fucking penny out of the American truck driver that they can. So that may be a way that they're using AI to, one, save money on the rates by having basically non-negotiable terms with the owner-operator truck drivers out there, and also the brokers that they can just fire, let them walk out, and the AI will go ahead and do all the negotiations for them. So this whole thing, god damn it, it drives me fucking nuts when people just read a headline. I wasn't going to touch this story. I was like, I don't really give a fuck, if I'm being honest with you. But it was when somebody told me how this was more destruction in the trucking industry, I went, well, I can't just let this slide. Now, can I? I absolutely cannot. And it's just driving me crazy. The amount of Americans, like I said, that just read a headline and say, hell yeah, Donald Trump just won again. That was a good thing, while their job is on the fucking line. That's the shit that drives me the craziest out of all of this. But we're going to see a lot of spin about this. We're going to see people try to present things like this as an absolutely good thing. And like I said earlier in the video, a lot of the stock market, from my understanding, is being propped up by all the AI shit that is going on, all the tech companies out there. So that translates to more lost jobs to the American worker as AI starts to take over more and more and more things. So the point of all of this is, there may be more to it. I guess I'm not quite ready to the wrap up part of this video yet. You know, it could be that JB Hunt is also not upgrading their trucks and trailers as often. That could be a cost saving measure. Well, that causes a ripple effect through the economy where, PACCAR and Freightliner and, all the truck manufacturers are going to slow down because this massive company may say, you know what, I think we could get an extra year out of all of our trucks. That may be a cost saving measure they're taking also. So the whole point of that is if you looked at JB Hunt stock yesterday and you saw that as a good thing and a win for America and a win for the working class in America, that was 100% another win for the billionaires in America, the shareholders, the CEOs, and it was a complete loss for the American worker. That's exactly what happened. And even more of a loss for the American truck driver as JB Hunt starts to move away from hiring people and move towards more automated type of things, moves towards using less and less truck drivers, and that's just the way it goes. So that's it. That's the fucking point of the video. The JB Hunt stock was nothing but bad news if you are outside of their shareholders and outside of their CEO. Those people did well yesterday. The rest of America, the rest of working class America, did what we always do and took it straight up the ass for the billionaires in this country, while some hee-haw motherfucker runs around celebrating like it was a win for the American class when it was 100% the opposite of that. Anyways, I gotta get back to work. Love you guys. Bye now.